From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, real therapists. If you have any questions or advice to give, come on over to podtherapy.net and join the conversation. Because of Jim, we almost lost 2 listeners last week. That's 20% of our listeners. We'll address that and a whole lot more. And now, broadcasting from Level 9 Studios, that guy is Dr. Jim Jobin. I'm Nick Tangeman. It's time for some Pod Therapy.
The key word there, Nick, is almost. We almost did, but I called them both. And I apologized.
Yes. Well, one of them contacted me and let me know that there are other therapy podcasts out there.
Was that Ben?
Yeah. And I called his bluff. I was like, yeah.
Go find one.
Find one.
Yeah.
And then I said, no, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm kidding. That. We're sorry. We're sorry.
We'll come back to you. Yeah. So welcome back, Ben. And the other one was Dawn. Dawn, that I got to tell you, that meant so much to me. She has earned president of the fan club in Nevada. Ben is president on the East Coast. But yeah, she messaged us on Facebook and she was like, hey, where's the pod? It's like Saturday. You guys usually do Therapy Thursday. And I was like, thank you so much for even noticing that it didn't go out. Yes.
It feels good to be missed.
It was, yes. So Jim does apologize. It was definitely Jim's fault. We are real-life therapists associated with other real-life therapists, and a team of real-life therapists in Phoenix needed me to go visit with them and try to help them work on something that was important and timely. And so, yeah, I was on a plane instead of editing this the episode that we had. So, but it did air. It was on swingers and open sexual relationships and all sorts of really interesting stuff and rave reviews, even though it came out late. People really liked it.
Yeah, very risque.
Yes, it's very risque for the therapy podcast. Yeah, Ben, where are you going to get your fill of that, huh? Yeah, that's right. You're not going to hear that stuff on some other pompous therapy show. Talk about an open sexual relationship. You're welcome. Okay, You'll keep coming back.
So we're back. And,
we're back.
Assuming there's no big issues tonight, hopefully we will get this episode out by tomorrow morning.
Yes, tonight. July 13th, 2019. I'm just hedging my bets, man. I put this out there with that date. People are like, wow, they're early. Yeah. Welcome from the future.
Exactly.
But thank you, loyal listeners, for sticking around. In fact, Nick and I looked back. This is episode 11, and we looked back over the last 10 episodes. And you know what? Thank you. Thank you for joining us. So many of you guys joined us in the last 10. Welcome to Pod Therapy. Welcome to this podcast. Nick, maybe we should reintroduce ourselves. You know, now that we're the new set of 11 here, here we are starting it again. Tell us about yourself, Nick. Introduce yourself to some of our new listeners.
Okay. Well, my name is Nick Tangeman. I'm
lies. Fake news.
I'm already off to a bad start. Originally from the Midwest.
Yes.
I'm an Iowa native. Yeah. Moved out to Las Vegas 6.5 or 7 years ago now. So my specialty is mostly in addictions. I have a master's degree in social work, but I've been working in the addictions field for 13 years now. So I've treated just about everything you can be addicted to.
Yeah, you actually have. Yeah. And you're on the cutting edge of some stuff like video game addiction, which a decade ago nobody was even talking about, and now it's part of the conversation.
Yeah, social media addiction.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Facebook
all
addiction.
That. It's
yes.
It's a growing field.
Yeah.
I've done clinical work, mostly do administrative now. But yeah, that's me.
Yeah. It's funny when I think about Facebook addiction and stuff, I hold my phone so often that when I put it down, I feel like my hand is radiating energy.
Oh.
That's not good.
I thought you were going to talk about phantom phone vibration syndrome.
Okay. That's a thing.
That's a real thing.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah.
I keep my phone in my pocket, and so all the time I'll think that my phone has vibrated, but it's just my nerves.
Well, what it is it's an itch that gets interpreted by the brain as being the phone because it's used to the phone being there. So it feels like a vibration instead of an actual itch.
That's terrifying and accurate. That definitely happens to me. I'm glad there's a name for it because I just thought I was going crazy. But hi, I'm Jim.
Yeah. Tell us about yourself, Jim.
Yeah, I wandered in from the street, and here I am bringing it back therapy style. I specialize in general mental health and also work in addictions. been here in Las Vegas for a really long time. I'm going to say something like 25 years or some odd thing like that. I work at a rehab, and I also have a private practice, and love Nevada, love therapy. And the reason why I got into this is just realizing there was a really interesting conversation to be had where people could really interact with some deep thinking. And a lot of folks had all these questions, and we thought, man, let's just start taking those questions and let's answer them together. And so we started this podcast January of this year, and it has been a smash hit. We are still the #1 therapy broadcast that records Wednesdays at noon. At specifically level 9.
At level 9 studios. Yes.
We're killing it, killing the competition. I like to think we scared the competition out of the water, Nick.
Right.
That's what it is.
Well, out of all the other therapy podcasts here, we're definitely doing
the
better.
best. So, we're setting the standards. So, thank you, listeners, for joining this conversation. And as Nick said in the intro, we are very big on you guys writing in, and you can do that anonymously.
You know, I think the really interesting thing about that is that to us, like we come across questions every once in a while that like we don't think anything of because it's like this is just our regular day.
That's
and we don't
Tuesday. Yeah, exactly.
And so we're like, oh, are people really interested in this? So So when you write in and you ask questions, we will definitely make a good effort
There's
to
not
get on
been
the
a
air.
question yet that we have not addressed, though there was one that we addressed it and then saved it in a bank episode. So, but
There's
even
been
in
a
that
couple,
case,
I think, that we did
yeah,
that.
we have. We've personally contacted those writers to say, here's actually our answer, just so you have it. So, you have the Nick and Jim guarantee that if you send in a question to the show, it will be answered. And if you don't hear it the week you submit it, we will contact you and let you know why. But definitely send those in. You can go to podtherapy.net. You could submit it anonymously. You can comment and give advice on questions that other people asked in a given episode. You can comment right on that episode, and the writers can actually go on there and see what you thought and see what your perspectives are, which is strongly encouraged, guys. We want to create a culture and a community of conversation about uplifting and self-help and how do we all get through this together. So welcome to our new listeners, and thank you for the loyalty of our past listeners, and specifically Ben and Dawn. And some of you out there are wondering, how do I become the president of the fan club? Hey, guess what? Congratulations, you're the president of the fan club.
Just be loud.
Just be loud, man.
The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
That's right. They get all sorts of pull in Las Vegas because they know us.
All right. Well, let's get started.
Yes, sir.
So our first question, am I too focused on what other people think? I'm a man in my 30s. I care way too much about what others think. For instance, when it comes to dating, it seems I'm always wondering what other people think, friends, family, social media, etc. What they will think about my new girlfriend. Will they think she's pretty enough, smart enough, good enough? I feel I need to date beautiful women because it increases my social status, which is incredibly shallow, right? Or is that okay to consider? Anyways, great podcast. I've listened to all the episodes.
Wow. Hey, good. Thank you.
All right.
That's fantastic. Somebody actually listened to all of them. So, yeah.
I don't even do that.
I don't know. Neither have I. I edited them, and I don't. Even Scott, our engineer, is over there like, I know he's not. We're on mute. But no, that's a really good question. And one of the first things, Nick, that I see in that I actually think is a really interesting conversation is, okay, so listen, I want to date women as a social status symbol, and I realize that's shallow, but I'm specifically looking for pretty women, and I'm specifically looking for women that complement my status in the world. And here's kind of the irony of that. So I did my master's in marriage and family therapy, and one of the things we kind of got to study was, where did we evolve this idea of romance, and when did marriage become this thing that has mutual respect and like love and depth? That's kind of recent in human history, actually. Marriage as a concept only went to this romantic idea where it has to be mutually beneficial, like after the Civil War and like Jane Austen novels and stuff. So I actually take a pretty broad view of relationships. If you are open about this is why I'm dating you and like I specifically value this in you, I'm for it. I think that's fine. I think you can tell somebody, hey, I specifically really like, beautiful women that increase my status, and this can be a mutually beneficial relationship. There's a lot of relationships of convenience in the world, where they're clear. I'm married to you because you're, Jeff Bezos and like you have billions of dollars. And like, okay, I'm a trophy wife. Like, okay. And they're both completely fine with it. And the rest of us can laugh and say that's shallow and that's cheap. Fine, but at least they understand what their relationship is. They have an arrangement. They're okay with it. So my first answer to this guy when he says, is this okay? Yes, I think it's fine. I just hope you're being honest about it and like telling these women, hey, this is kind of what my value system is.
Okay, so I interpreted this completely a different way.
Okay.
I didn't read this and get the sense that that's his purpose behind dating. I got that he's dating, but as he's dating, this comes up. Oh. And it's like, I notice about myself that I worry way too much about what other people think.
Okay.
Are they going to think she's attractive enough?
Got it.
And that. So,
okay.
Excuse me, when I read this, that's kind of where my mind went. So I can relate to this. I think there was a period in my life in dating that I think everybody goes through this, where there is kind of a, it does kind of sound shallow, but I don't think it's really shallow, but there is kind of this idea or this concept that this is a reflection of who I am.
Right.
Right. So part of this,
I think that's true though. I do think that's true. Like if you are dating somebody who is a horrible monster of a human being, I kind of think less of you.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a really interesting point. Yeah. And I would agree with that as well. Not necessarily I think you're a horrible
only
person.
Quietly judge, though.
No, but that is actually a really good point because who we date is a reflection of where we're at mentally, emotionally, all of that. Mm-hmm. And so I guess that's where I would go with this question is I would encourage our listener to really kind of think about, how do you view yourself?
Yeah.
And how do you feel about yourself? What's your confidence level like? What's your self-esteem like? Because I know when I was dating with low confidence and low self-esteem, this was incredibly important to me because it was, again, part of my image. If my image wasn't coming from internal, it had to come from external, right? If I couldn't feel good about the way I am internally, then I had to have somebody very attractive that I'm dating that almost like I'm trying to convince myself, see, I must be good because I'm dating so-and-so.
I think that's true. And another thing that he says here is he worries too much about what other people think, and he references social media.
Yes.
So let me tell you something, an interesting dynamic that Nick and I have seen as therapists in the advent of the social media age. Depression is at an all-time high, and devastating loss of self-esteem is at an all-time high, almost exclusively because of Facebook and things exactly like Facebook, where people play the highlight reel and this false and exaggerated version of their lives. Like they're like, here's this amazing quiche that I made this morning. And it's like, wow, I ate Cheerios. Like I ate donuts and this guy made a quiche. Like, holy crap, like I am worthless. And it's like, that is an artificial reality. And you're just constantly bombarded with the 1,000 friends that you have, all of their best moments. And the guys who don't have a best moment today, they're quiet. And everybody else that had a best moment is there showing it to you. And your life by comparison looks like a joke.
Yeah, well, it's a recipe for depression. When you compare your backstage to somebody else's highlight reel.
Oh yeah,
you're setting yourself up for depression.
Absolutely. So to the writer, I hear you saying, "Hey, I think this is a distraction in my life. I tend to overfocus on others." I guess one of my first answers to you is, can we challenge the role social media plays? A lot of people become obsessive about it. And, here they are, they have to check these things all the time, and they're constantly checking their life status by the status update of somebody else. And I just don't want you to do that. So if I can challenge you to begin pulling back in that area, that's one thing. The question about, is this appropriate that I assign social status to the women I date? I'm fine with it. I don't think that that's inherently bad or inherently inhuman, even if it's a very, known thing that, I'm very shallow and I just want these women to sort of be part of my life because they're sort of an accessory and an ornament on my world. again, like, not to trivialize that, I'm actually comfortable with it as long as you're open and honest about, what your value system is and letting her see that so she doesn't think that it's more than it is. But yeah, to Nick's point, where he's kind of looking at this bigger picture of, how do you develop your own self-esteem? How do you self-assess? And if you can start with a pure and good and honest self-assessment, that